define people by them or not. I think that generation means different people who are born around the same time, which have the same ideas as each other. And the dictionary defines it as all of the people born and living about the same time regards collectively. But what is a generation? We've all heard the terms boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. But do we know what they actually mean, and do we know where they came from? Well, it all started with these two Americans called William Strauss and Neil Howe, who came up with an idea that they look at history from the 1400s onwards and split it into 80-year blocks. Within this series of 80 years, there's 20 years, which represent a period of high time, which is when people believed in the government, to a period of crisis, which is when there's a war or there's an illness like COVID-19. They thought that their generational theory is the thing that everybody should be defined by. They said that their theory is far more powerful than economic class, race, sex, religion, and political parties. But this theory must have some flaws. Well, lots of historians don't believe that this theory is very useful because it is lacking in historical evidence. Yes, they've used historical dates and historical events, but they haven't really taken into consideration the things that led up to the events. Yes, they've put lots of things like revolutions in crisis times, but they haven't taken into consideration that revolutions happen for different reasons. Another thing is that this theory is based mainly upon the Western world and America. Yes, after the Second World War, we were quite stable and people did trust the government. But sort of in America, they were fighting for their independence. So the boomers from India, will be completely different to the boomers from England. Also, people use this to predict the future. So say we're in a period of, say, unraveling, which is just before crisis time. People will start getting worried and thinking that something bad will happen soon. They also say, well, historians also say that this is as worry as a newspaper horoscope. And I'm Gen Z, so I'm meant to really enjoy learning about horoscopes. So let's take a look at the generational horoscopes. Starting with the boomers. These people were born into a period of high time after the Second World War, which is when the NHS was created, cheap housing was being made, and food became more available. These people are hard-working, they've got a strong work ethic and competitive. Next we've got Gen X. These people were born into a time of awakening, which is like when things started getting a bit worse. This is when things like the civil rights movement started in America and things like that. These people were independent more than the boomers because with their boomer parents really liking their work, they were also known as latchkey kids because they would take themselves home when their parents would work after school and they would get on with things on their own. Yeah. So next we've got millennials. These people were born into a period of unraveling, which is when things started getting leading up to the crisis time. Things like the 9/11, attacks on Twin Towers were happening, there was high divorce rates at home, there was a climate crisis, started getting worse, and these people are better with technology, or meant to be better with technology than the previous generations. Then we get into Gen Z. Now, we were born into, or me as a Gen Z was born into a crisis time of COVID-19. And me as a Gen Z meant to be really good at technology. Maybe this is because during COVID, everybody started to use technology more as a way of communicating with each other. And then we've got Gen Alpha. These people are meant to be really good at technology. Maybe this is because of the vast improvement of AI and VR in the younger years of this generation. What's the positives of defining people by their generation? Well, it can make people feel more like a team, it can make sure that people are really fit with each other. Another thing is that there's Gen Z and Gen Alpha children tend to have the weird hairstyles and the funny clothes that our millennial and Gen X parents used to wear when they were younger. I like looking at it as a fruit. Yes, you can separate the apples from the oranges and the bananas, but they're all fruits, and even if you put them into their groups, there's not much difference between them, really, if you think about it. Next, we've got the dangers. So this can affect people by the fact that they feel singled out, or judged, or like they're on their own from the rest of the world, which is where it can make people a world apart from individuals. All of these people are my examples of each generation. Let's start with my brother John. He's a boomer, which is quite far away from my brother, but my brother still wants to wear Michael Jordan's trainers, even as a Gen Alpha child. Next we've got Gen X, which is David Beckham. Now, he is quite significant to anyone who's a Manchester United fan ever. Also, I've looked it up, and he's not the most famous David from this country. That goes to David Attenborough, who is not a boomer. He's not the one before that, but he's the one before that. And we associate David Attenborough with, like, looking at the climbers and animals, which we usually think of being a millennial or a Gen Z point of view. Next we've got Taylor Swift, who's a millennial. Now my mum is proud of herself for being born in the same decade as Taylor Swift. My grandma still likes to listen to Taylor Swift's older work as well. And then we've got Gen Z, which is Olivia Rodrigo, who is a fan of Taylor Swift herself. So Taylor Swift really inspired her to be part of the music industry which she is today. So that's why we're not all worlds apart from each other. Thank you for listening.